Good morning. Very nice meeting you all. Some people know me, some people not really. Today we're going to talk about what is stress and how to deal with it, and what we can apply and what's right for you. I'll try to speak fast because we have limited time, and I hope you guys take away a lot. After that, I'm open. There will be a way to communicate with me, to connect, and learn new things. I want to ask anyone here really, what do you guys think stress is? And anyone can raise a hand. Okay. No one knows what stress is. Given that there's many people here, is anyone here ever stressed? Okay. We're always stressed. We don't know what stress is. I will talk about what it is. I just represent myself quickly because I was told to. Many of you know me as a wedding photographer. I also own a wellness company where I help people to not stress, be energetic, lose weight, and do many other things, which was the result of me going through my journey. My wife, Eugenia, is right here. I have 2 kids. Besides everything I told you, there's nothing else really. I do nutrition and I do personal training. So this was me. This is 9 years ago, I believe. So we're all in weddings. Let's talk about what is actually happening in our life. And that's obviously a wedding photographer, right? So we have a lot of things. Happy that you guys connect. We work for long hours and we don't really have hours, at least most of us. If you're a planner, if you're a designer, if you're a makeup artist, you wake up really early. You don't know when you're going to get home. We have floral designers who spend days and sometimes weeks on installations, and then they need to come and break things down. We have planners who dedicate literally months to work with sometimes single client. We have videographers, photographers who don't sleep. I can keep on naming things. Maybe if you do stationery, it's easier. And then again, I'm not so sure. Okay, we have multiple things that we need to deal with. We have very high expectations from ourselves and from our clients. And many of us here in luxury space, we are very emotionally invested in what we do. Hopefully everyone is. And we don't sleep. Many of us don't sleep. I got up today at 4 a.m. to be here, but I don't get tired anymore. So I teach everyone how to be there as well. And I don't drink coffee, by the way. And doing all of that, we always have to be happy. We have to smile and wave. And you have those nice penguins from Madagascar, I believe, which always had to do that waving and smiling. So we're going to talk about what is actually happening and what practical things you can apply to not be in that place. Okay. And what we're going to talk about is what's happening and what to do. What we're not going to talk about is productivity hacks, different apps for scheduling and things like that. And all these are great. You can use infinite amount of apps and notes and things like that. But bottom line that if you are stressed, if you have no energy, that is just a supplement. And we're going to talk about supplements a bit. It's a little fix, very local. But if you're not feeling well, it's not going to help much. It's not going to address your problems all the way. So what stress is? Anyone is brave to say what they think stress is? No? Yes, cortisol is definitely connected to that. And I'm going to talk about this. Anyone else? Yes? Okay, yeah. Okay, this is great. That's one of the things that happen to us. What stress is not? Typically, and I will say it for most people, we believe that this is something that is happening to us, right? My wife tried to kill me. Someone's daily. I'm still here. I'm surviving. Good. We have the bride that is stressing us out. We have the wedding planner that is chasing us. She has a bride that is stressing her out. So we all are stressed all around. We have imaginary things that stress us out, such as dinosaurs, or it can be financial situation, your health condition that might not exist, but you're afraid of it. You can have unlimited number of things that stress you out. And actually, We can be stressed by literally anything. You can wake up, look at yourself in the mirror, and your day is ruined because whatever is on your face, all because you're bloated, and you will be stressing about that, thinking, oh, what if others see me and what they will think about me? And also a huge part of this is actually we care what people think of us, about our looks, about how we speak, about how we talk, about everything. And that's not necessarily a good thing. So stress is not any of that. Stress is how we respond to things that are happening. We all know people who are on their meaner side, who don't care about anything, and whatever is going on, they don't care. They don't care about dead relatives. They don't care about bride's wishes. They don't care about what their boss says, or their kids do, or their wife. They just do their own thing. And those people actually don't get stressed a lot because they simply don't care. It's a very drastic spectrum, but not being stressed is actually our ability to not care about things that don't matter or matter, but to the point where we can manage them. Obviously, I'm taking it to the extreme, but some people, they will deal with death on a completely, it's life level. And some people will be devastated for 6 months or a year. And it doesn't have to be as extreme. We can be stressed about literally any little thing, but that's our response. And as you learn what it is and understand that and how to deal with it, you will learn with time to not stress, not to respond. And there's many tools for that. And obviously you don't want to overdo it. That also is possible. Because if you're not stressing about anything, you might have really bad family life, right? Because you don't care. You might not pay attention to what is needed because you are seeing all the chill and how people that take certain things, they really stop caring. And we don't want to take it to any extreme. So you want to be in charge of your actions. You want to manage that. And you want to understand what's going on. Okay, so cortisol. Why was that cortisol? When we are stressed, we have release of hormone that is called cortisol that is going to tell us that we need more energy to deal with a certain situation. We get into the fight or flight response. We have different mood swings, and that is happening because our body decided that we need extra energy. So stress originally comes from prehistoric situations where we were hunted or we're hunting. And for example, if we need to go and hunt food in the middle of the night, we want to sleep, right? So that our body will elevate cortisol so we can be fully active at night and not tired, at least for a while. Most of us here from around the city, so everyone had probably some kind of nightlife. It still has parties and everything like that. So most of us are familiar with things like, oh, it's 2 a.m. and this is where I can be very active and happy. Go to the parties. I was dead all day and now I'm flying. And that is actually a very bad thing that will cause dementia and Parkinson's long term. That is not anything positive. That is your cortisol response because you're not sleeping and it's 2 a.m. So something is happening to you clearly and we need to fix it. Your body releases cortisol so you can elevate your sugar levels, and that sugar elevation gives you energy, which shouldn't be there. And this is why many people who have chronic stress get diabetes without any food, because their sugar levels are bad. Sleep disruption plays into that very hardly because, again, that elevates your hormones. So if you can't sleep for some reason, because you're worried about something, you will have the same response. Your body will think you need to survive and it will pump sugar levels. So we want to prevent that. In addition, I'm not going to go through all those things, but you can read on the screen. There's nothing good that happens, and all of that is fixable. We want to make sure that you don't get any of that things. So let's go and talk about more. Stress can cause digestive issues, ulcers. If you have chronic headaches, if you have muscle pain, without ever exercising, you might be experiencing exactly that. And because many people live with chronic stress and a lot of that, they might not even realize that they're constantly stressed. Because when it becomes our normal state, we don't feel different. Just like diabetic doesn't have feeling for elevated sugar, or person who has chronic back pain doesn't really pay attention to that pain anymore because they become oblivious to that. We want to understand what stress is because that will help us to not be stressed long term. We want to shift your mindset and really ask yourself, this something is happening. And can anyone give me a real situation when there's of stress?
Talking to my brother.
You're talking to your mother, right? I left my parents because of being stressed, and probably many people can relate. We can say that, okay, my mom stresses me out. She screams at me. She picks on me. She tells me what to do. I can deal with that. It's stressing me out. What's stressing me out is like how I refer to my mother and how I think about that. If I think, okay, this poor lady did everything for me. Now she wants results and she wants the best for me. Maybe she doesn't know how to do it, but actually she does what she needs, in her opinion, for my well-being. She has no bad intentions. So the fact that I'm stressed from that is my own problem. And if I reframe that way, I'm going to be, okay, let her talk. It will make her feel good. And I don't care. I will do stuff for her that I think is needed. I will help her with everything, but I'm not going to pay attention or take it deep. Kids stressing people out. Anyone else? Any example? Traffic. Traffic is freaking stressful, right? Took me almost an hour to get today driving from tunnel to here, which is under a mile. It's a problem. And people, they're not just getting stressed. People kill other people in traffic. You can be shot or you can beat out in the street because you cut someone in traffic or whatever, right? People get insane. They want to get somewhere. They're stressed. People usually can't plan to get somewhere in time, and they do it repeatedly. And as a result, they're being stressed. So now you're stuck in traffic. There's nothing you can really do about it. Like, you are there. Nothing will change. You can plan next time, but if you decide, oh my God, this traffic is killing me, what am I going to do? I'm going to be late. It is what it is. You will be late, but there's no point to stress, no point to think about it. Even think about what you're going to say and how you're going to deal with it and how you're not going to deal with this time. But in the meantime, you can listen to a podcast, get some education, listen to some nice music, meditate with open eyes. You can do a lot of things that will help you with that, actually. You can use that traffic time, especially if you have it regularly, to your own benefit. I got a ton of education because of being in the car in traffic. And now I embrace it, and I'm very happy because I would not have the time for that book, podcast, or anything like this today. I was listening to Leah Weinberg on the way here. So because I'm not going to hear her today. And thank you so much for being here, by the way, for choosing this option. And this is an example of how you approach your reframing. You can be pissed and stressed all over again, or you can think that it's a blessing. I also spoke with a new client today on the way because I was in traffic, and now I have a new client. Otherwise, the meeting was next week. And we all know that if you have meeting in a week, they might find someone else in the meantime. Also, we're talking about being proactive. You have those situations, so certain things are stressing you out. When you know that you might approach the situation, prepare yourself and do something like this. Oh, like, I'm going to the wedding because we're on the wedding and I hate that venue. And it can be whatever. It can be the Metro D, it can be the smell of the carpet, it can be the smell of food, right? And hopefully no one is in that situation. But on a human level or on a planning level, it can be problematic and we can stress. I used to crazy stress when I was like thinking, oh, I'm not going to get there on time. But guess what? I was late one time in 20-something years because I planned. And now I don't stress. Because if you're late, just plan better next time. Okay? Understand where your problems are coming from. without say, oh, like I'm stressing about the thing. Why do you stress about this? Like, why do you stress about talking to your mother? If you break it down, there's nothing stressful about that, for real. You're in traffic, so what? The Metro D doesn't treat you nicely in the venue, it's their own problem. If someone is pissed at you for whatever reason and they're not nice, it's their own mental problem. It's not you. If they're just unpleasant person to everyone, let them be and let them suffer. Don't suffer for them unless you can offer them help. And sometimes you can be nice to others instead of being stressed about how they treat you. And you will be surprised how many connections and relationships it can build for you, because those people are also stressed. They have work to do. And if you are just another vendor for them who might not be somewhere on time, and we all know that, like from different venues, instead offer help and they will be less stressed. You will be less stressed next time. You will enjoy working there. Happened to me many times. And last thing here is, if you have an issue, ask for help. You can talk to your partner, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to me, but never keep things inside, because keeping things inside, as we know, typically doesn't lead to anything good. Cortisol levels will go through the roof and you will not be doing well. Okay, so these are little steps. I will send presentation through WIPA channels, but there's a lot of things that we can do. I'm going to discuss each step briefly to make sure that we get through all of it. There's a lot of things here, so you will have all this chart if you download that. Okay, so I was asked to talk about strength training. And to whom is strength training surprising in relation to stress? I'm glad to hear that. Usually people say, oh, what's strength training? Like, whatever. When we train, when we lift weights, which by the way is a necessarily and basic essential function of a human body for not just well-being, but being, we have elevation in hormones that counteract cortisol, that bring all the happy hormones into our body, and they put us in a state where we stress way less. And I cannot stress, that wasn't on purpose, how much that is important. I can say that just lifting almost every day changed my life in a way that I can't comprehend, and I'm sure there are people here who can state the same. On the days that people who lift don't lift, especially if it's been several days, they realize how much depressed they are when they don't. I see nods here. And that's not happening because strength training is just a magical thing. It's because if you don't move weights and walk like you intended by nature, your hormones stop working the way they should. People who walk and who lift weights, and I'm talking specifically about lifting weights, they are people who are way happier people in general. And it's not because like I want to go everyone like go and get bulky or something like this, which by the way for the girls is impossible, in case you're afraid of that. When you train, you get way more energy. So people say, oh, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to suffer, I'm going to like won't be able to function. After you coming out of a training session, you have way more energy because of the hormonal response. And by the way, I will say something. If you are tired, if you wake up and you are tired, it's never because of physical work you did, ever. If you have cloud in your brain and you can't move and you say, I can't get up now, I'm so tired, it's not your muscles, it's not your body, it's your brain, always. It's your energy that floats, but not energy you have. So eating something doesn't really help necessarily, or drinking coffee, and I will get to that. But it's not about your body. So you can be very tired and go to the gym and you will be able to perform amazingly, or you can be very energetic, go to the gym, like not being able to do crap. Paramaphrase again. Now, strength training has huge benefits for your muscle preservations and for bone density, which again has hormonal response back to stress levels, because your body understands that you are not doing something necessary for your preservation, therefore you will be more stressed. And it might not be very intuitive. For women especially, and I want to stress it, and I work with predominantly women, because women, girls, you are way more resilient than men, and I'm sorry about that, right? However, you are stick with your goals way better, and you care more about yourself. You also care about others who you take care of. Men, they don't care how they look like usually. They don't care about their health as long as nothing is really hurting, and they want to have their fun. This is why, in general, men are less healthy. For the bone density, we have estrogen that keeps bone density intact. Is there anyone who doesn't know that? I'm happy. So, come menopause, at some point, estrogen drops and women usually lose bone density very fast. The only way to fix bone density is strength training. So whoever doesn't lift before menopause comes to menopause with already bad bone density, and then from there I don't have any good words for that. Whoever trains comes to menopause with good bone density, and from there it's slow decline, and if you train, you will keep it in check. And this is why we have so many people, especially women, who fall somewhere in their being 55, break hips, and never get out of that. And many die as a result of that within a year, and the statistics are really bad on that. Another thing, some people struggle with weight. Usually, we struggle with weight because we eat too much, and we eat too much because we have yummy things that make us eat, and because we are hungry. When you lift weights, you're way less hungry because of your hormonal response, and after training session, it's really hard to eat, sometimes for hours. So those are the reasons. That is a very small summary that are very important to do this. And again, stress release is very strong here. Now, let's talk about another thing here. We eat things that are yummy, and stress is coming from food. Anyone can tell me what endorphins are? Okay, anyone else? Okay, anyone knows what morphine is? Yes. Okay, cool. So endorphins are not happy hormones at all. When we get hurt, our body releases endorphins to bring pain down. We usually don't feel it, because usually when it hurts, it really hurts. And endorphins cannot overcome this in the way we release them in the amounts. But what's important to understand that when we eat something very yummy, we feel great in the moment. And that's in big part, especially with sugar, because of the release of endorphins. So now we eat something, we get inflammation and damage to blood vessels, which is almost immediate. Our body tries to shut it down. As a result, we feel great. And as a result of that, we go for more. When we stop eating those things, our inflammation drops, and our stress response is going down. So the more sweets people eat, the more stress they get. And it doesn't have to be sweets for that purpose. I'm just naming sweets because sugar is very vicious like that. Anything that is engineered food, processed food, and I'm not talking about like boiled potatoes, I'm talking about cookies and different crazy things that we can eat. Engineered to be yummy, but it takes a huge toll on you. And it might be very tasty in the moment you want to go more, but you have very strong stress response. People who go to very boring diet stop being strongly stressed as a result of that, because your inflammation is going down. As a result, you feel better, you have higher energy, you have better hunger control, and your hormones go to places where they should be. And by the way, there's hormone therapies as well. Okay. Another thing about this, things that you like, they make you very hungry. So you eat more. And you might not get overweight, but you will not feel well in general. You might feel bloated, stressed, not sleep well, or sleep too much, be constantly tired, and that is, in big part, is what you eat. I'm not suggesting that you stop eating everything you love, but I do suggest that you pay attention to what you eat and how much of that. And in this specific realm, it's not because of the weight, it's because of how you feel. When you reduce yummy food, you will feel more energy, you will be less stressed, guaranteed. And if you are interested in learning what exactly it is and what is in your food that is making you stressed, talk to me. I will break down your food and I will help you to understand where your problems are coming from. Okay? Another thing why people are stressed. Now, if anyone tries to kill me, I'm going to get a shelter. But caffeine is a thing that almost everyone drinks, and almost everyone complains they are tired. If you're constantly tired, you cannot function properly, and it will elevate your stress. Now, why caffeine raises stress? Because it elevates your cortisol. It's very important to say that. Coffee brings your cortisol up. Cortisol brings sugar up, and this is why, in part, you think you have energy. Another thing that caffeine does is blocking the hormone that makes you tired. So the coffee doesn't give you any energy per se. It blocks hormone that is called adenosine that your brain releases throughout the day so you can actually sleep in the end of the day. If you wake up tired already because whatever reason, and we'll get through the full circle, and you have any cup of coffee, now you're blocking that hormone to be released later in the day. And then when the coffee wanes out, you drink more coffee. So now you're blocking that hormone again and again. And during your sleep, when it's supposed to be cleaned out from your brain completely, you have so much that it cannot be cleaned. So you wake up with all that hormone of tiredness that was supposed to put you asleep the day before. And now you're waking up, you can't move because I'm so tired. I see vendors having coffee before they drive home from a wedding at 2 a.m. I see people who drink coffee throughout the day. I see people who just say, I can't function without my first morning cup. All of that causes you to be more tired. When I work with my coaching clients and they are tired, one of the biggest things that makes things very fast, energy-wise, is removal of the coffee. People become very energetic, very fast, and they start sleeping way better. Okay?
Is there a chemical difference between green tea or caffeine and coffee? Is there a difference
No.
in the caffeine?
So the caffeine is the same. Yes. Caffeine is the same. Matcha. So decaf is a really good option. Whoever loves coffee, buy good decaf. And I'm not saying everyone stops drinking coffee, but if you have, like I spoke to some, like 6 cups a day, probably it's going to kill you at some point. And I suggest not to have any caffeine past 9 a.m. So have your coffee and then you can drink decaf throughout the day. Or quit that and see how you feel. And they say thank you to me. Okay? Another thing, people who take coffee with milk, milk has a lot of sugar and is very highly inflammatory. So as a result, we're getting that liquid sugar that makes our system not function very well. Okay? I spoke about movement a little bit when I spoke about strength training. Just like strength training, walking is a basic function, which is not basic because it's basic, it's because you cannot exist without it. So if you don't walk at least once a day, by definition, your hormones cannot function normally. When your eyes see sunrise while you're moving, it creates hormonal response that then sets your clocks, sets your day, sets when you're supposed to go to bed. If you didn't get outside and you didn't see light and you didn't move, it doesn't work. And by the way, our windows are blocking the rays that actually tells us it's morning. So it's really important to get outside and walk if you can. If you go and walk in the evening and it's sunset, you will have same response because your body will know this is the time to sleep, this is time to prepare to bed. If you don't have that, you will be more tired and stressed. And anyone knows what EMDR is?
Eye movement, something. Yeah.
Okay, yes. So EMDR is a system that is used on people with problems with stress and PTSD. And it's very relaxing. It helps people to heal. It's based on walking. It's based on the effect of when you walk and you're not on your phone, your eyes moving to the sides and picture constantly shifting. That causes hormonal response that is very relaxing and stress removing. And just on that walking effect, this wall therapy is built. and it's very efficient. So instead of getting therapy, you can just walk, for example, right, if you're very stressed, which will do good things for you. Awesome. As a result of that, you will also have less hunger, you will sleep better, and everything will become better for you. So if you don't walk, start walking. This is my suggestion to you. And whoever says they have no time, check how much time you spend on your computer, on your phone, with TV, and sum it up, and you will find probably hours that you don't do, or extra time when you wake up in the morning and stay in bed, or when you go to bed and on your phone. When we don't sleep, and it ties into that, we have the same thing, and I pondered over that, so I'm not going to repeat, but if you don't sleep enough, your hormones go out of whack. In order to sleep better, we need to lift, we need to walk, we need to eat correctly. We should not eat before bed, and ideally not anywhere close to nighttime. So like I try not to eat when it's dark, period. And if you want reasons, like I'm trying to be mindful of the time, approach me and I will explain those things, but it has very strong effect. Okay, if you don't sleep, it's probably because you're doing those things, plus you might have light somewhere in the room, or you're sleeping with light, especially if it's like some kind of bluish. If you have phone before you go to bed and you're using your phone, it will prevent you from sleeping well. If you hear any noises during the night, use plugs, because that will prevent you from sleeping well. And temperature is very important. So if your bedroom is not cool, if you like it warm and hot and nice, that is not letting your body to go into sleep stages that are actually healing and rejuvenating. And you will not go into a lot of deep sleep and REM sleep, which are responsible for restoring your hormones, for restoring your body, rebuilding your cells. I can give very strong example of a thing that a lot of people, and hopefully no one here uses, but a lot of people use like Ambien and any really sleep medications for sleep. And those drugs, they do not act the way we think. They knock you out, like alcohol. Anyone ever blacked out from alcohol?
Nobody's going to raise it.
No, right, but that's fine. I did many times, twice a week.
Yes.
No. And when we knocked out, or we lose our conscious, or we have concussion and things like that, we are not there presently. Our brain keeps on working. We are not asleep. Our brain needs at least 5 to 6 hours a day when it's not working. Otherwise, there's no cleaning out of bad things, like plaques from the brain that cause Alzheimer's. And actually, use of Ambien is a very strong cause of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So people who treat themselves with those things, many of us fly, we go to other countries, or we fly to other states, and we use drugs like this to sleep on the flight. That kills you. Don't do that. There are other techniques, and if you want to, I coach big offices how to not have jet lag.
What about CBD?
So CBD is a nice thing, but in my opinion, it doesn't do anything unless you believe in it. I had problems. I used tons of CBD. In the beginning, I thought it's helping, and then it just stopped, right? THC does help because it knocks you out. CBD might have anti-inflammatory effects. There's not much research on that. So I wouldn't go that route, and unless you're doing everything right and you want to like top it off. Okay? So make sure your bedroom is cold, because otherwise your body doesn't go into deep sleep. You don't have light, you don't have noise. And when I work with my clients, we do step-by-step situation where they remove things gradually, because it's really hard to do everything at once. There might be family involved if you're not alone, and timing and things like that, but it's all doable and it's all very efficient. And again, if you start sleeping, great, your stress will go down tremendously. Okay? Little things is supplementation. I think almost everyone tried to do different magical supplements for whatever, CBD for example, right? We would have melatonin, we would have ashwagandha, we would have L-theanine. Hopefully I'm not talking Chinese here, but then there are like different branded things like sleep complex or whatever that people take. None of those things, if you pay attention for long term, they actually don't work long term, if at all. So sometimes we believe it does something, and then if you pay attention after 3 months, like I'm just taking it, I still don't sleep well, I'm still stressed, it doesn't work, because they might help you short term, and then body adjusts to that and goes back to whatever it was doing, especially if it triggers any hormones. So, example, we have those drinks outside that are called True. They have GABA in them. GABA is going to help people sleep. It makes you more relaxed too. If you have it every day, your body will have resistance, just like we develop insulin resistance, and you stop responding to it. Now, in order for you to sleep, you will need more and more. So better not to rely on that altogether. So be very careful with supplements. If you're taking anything for stress or sleep, because those things, they are not really doing favor to you, and they might be occasionally helping. For example, melatonin might help with your switch in time zones. But if you take it all the time, you will have a result of not sleeping, actually. Okay? And never use them as this is my go-to thing to sleep. This is a little chart that will show you what you can do and bring it all together. And I'm not going to recap that, but doing it all together will help you to get to the places that you want with stress. And one thing that I didn't mention there is patience. If you have a problem and you start doing something, do not expect results next day. It's not going to be like a drug, but you will have very strong results over time. Just no one who, starts making any skin therapy doesn't have any tremendous results after one procedure. But over time, your skin looks better, fresher, and things like that. This is the same. You don't grow muscle from one training, and you don't get smarter from opening a book in college, right? Over time, you absorb information and you get better, and this is the same thing. If you are persistent and patient, those things work way faster than many other things that you're actually doing already. SEO for business might take years to get up in Google. This works. Questions, if anyone has any, in the time that we have.
I think we're all here today to take.
Thing number one, if you are stressed, pause and think, why am I stressed? What is actually stressing me out about that? And what's the worst thing that can happen because of this situation? Number two, start walking. If you don't, you look like you do. Number three, strength training, which is really hard. By the way, I train people, so you can, and I do it remotely. I have clients in Korea, in Dubai, right, on the other coast. So I do remote things, and I will be very happy to help anyone who needs. And just be patient with yourself, love yourself. And it sounds like cliche, but it's really important that you recognize the situation and start fixing, start doing something about it. We all say things are happening to us. Think about that maybe nothing is happening to you. This is just happening, and I'm just stressed about whatever. Does it make sense? Anyone else?
Instead of coffee or green tea, what do you drink in the morning?
I drink water with salt, and I can talk about electrolytes a lot there. But one big reason why we're tired is lack of sodium in the blood. Electrolytes will make you energized way more than coffee, way more than any energy drink. And there are supplements that, like it's, by the way, one is here, like Element, that I drink personally. So I eat salt, or I have that electrolyte. And this is the only thing that I'm taking for energy.
So in this industry, I'm sure all of us know that it's very long hours, it's very physical. So there is a break in between the day or the night, whatever it is, where you're like a full zombie. Are you just spooning salt? Like, how there's gotta be.
So I will tell you now that, and it might sound controversial, if you ever crash during the day or during the week, that's because you are not hydrating properly and you are not okay. The only time that you're supposed to be tired is when you're preparing for bed and it's already a habit. This is my time to sleep. When your hormones function normally, you don't crash. Not after food, not after driving. You're not supposed to. And big part of that is salt, because when we are not hydrated, our blood flow stops working normally, and we just get tired because energy is not supplied at the speed it should. It's a huge, some people call me Dr. Salt, because my answer, like, you're tired, have some salt, right? And it works. It's awesome, and good salt, like Maldon, right? It's perfect.
Oh, just straight Malton salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I do in the morning.
It's the best salt.
Yes, if you have 2 spoons a day, going to last you very long. Now, another reason for crashing is insulin resistance. So if you're crashing, and that's typically after food, like hour or 2, that's because sugar went too high. You consume too much sugar for the amount that you can actually absorb. Removing yummy foods and having enough electrolytes will eliminate that crashing thing. And I can say that because I was crashing most of the day. And now I just don't get tired at all. And I can easily replicate it with anyone, which I do.
Part of this industry that's hydrated all the time. I'm a Florida, so sometimes you're standing and working and doing something for like 5 hours straight.
You can always have with you the bottle, right? And I think it's a matter of planning.
We also use a break on our team that says we drink enough to go eat. Oh, you don't actually go.
Yeah, sort of like.
So like, both break we check out the anyone actually talk about. Not like you need to like, oh, drink water. Drink water, right? Drink water, like that.
Yeah, I mean, every job that we do, I always bring a water station. I make it prevalent that everyone does hydrate, but it's one of those things. It's very difficult unless there's some kind of alarm to say.
You can put alarm on your phone, on your watch. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I did go in my car, but I have to consume it.
I know that there's certain theories on diet and methods that have you found in your training and or research that a specific diet works more better for people. The majority tend to love, say, vegan or eat for your blood type or whatever. Like, I would just want to know a little.
Okay, so it's not going to be quick or little, because any nutrition question or anything like this, there's no anything general that you can answer. But for most people, removing levels of sugar will help, just in general. But that's a general thing, right? If you're active, if you have no problems, your level of sugar that you can tolerate, or maybe you should have, is going to be very different from someone who is inactive and has problems. The way I approach it, I don't give general advice, because it's always going to be wrong. Oh, everyone should do ketogenic diet. Like, no one should eat sugar, or like, never eat that or this, because maybe it's pointless and maybe it's actually helping you somewhere. Depending on your situation, depending on your family history and your blood work and how old you are and your gender, I can determine, or like specialists can determine, right, what is right for you at this point in life. When I started losing weight, I removed all the sugar because I was pre-diabetic, I had fatty liver, I had this much cholesterol and other beautiful things, and I don't have any of that. And now I can eat as much sugar as I want. I just don't want to, because taste buds change and things like that. But now my sugar is not going up even, right, like much, because things change. So you can definitely regulate, but there's no general thing, because 2 ladies that sit over here, Kate, Elizabeth, they should be eating very differently for their goals probably. And even with twins, I see that, because twins and of age of 45 did very different things to themselves during their life. And it did things that now they need to fix separately. Anyone else?
Do you salt all day?
I do. Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much.